I'm spokeswoman, lady, person. All right, so in this scenario, we have one main entry in the front that will have we kind of have overlaid our mall and our uptown and our public libraries all being a shared space, but those would kind of be the similar thing. And then when you come in, we're choosing to have therapies up at the front. That's our cardiac rehab, our physical occupational therapies, all kind of up in that area. Not talking about where the doors are, but they would come in through central registration. There's always the potential of some other entrance if we chose to do that, but we're envisioning that wellness vision, that choice would be given priority at the front of the facility. It also allows for us to use our main parking lot well for those people for any limited mobility issues. So that's kind of the choice we made, was that, yep, we want the therapies right up in the front. Obviously, central registration is a high priority, and so we made a separate thing for registration. And so that's right when you come in the entry, we would have registration there. And then we put the clinic behind that. Looking at having some waiting, some small areas where they can be directed, so they could come to a small clinic area after registration. And we kind of chose to have community health with the clinic, with Michelle's feedback as well, noting that there's also in this scenario, there's quite a bit of proximity to rehab. So depending on how that could all be built, there is potentially some opportunities, but really feeling like that clinic population fits there. Then we've chosen, as you kind of come through the entry, you go through registration, but as you go back further, you're going to start hitting to our acute and ED areas. And so we have chosen to put like imaging and lab in an area of close proximity to both the clinic and to the ER, recognizing that the bubbles aren't the same size probably, but we would choose to have those kind of located very near both of those, also recognizing they have outpatient, and so how we have it laid out right now, they would also probably have a small area to sit that would be easily directable from registration, that they could wait there for any outpatient. Then as we go back into our acute and ED and procedure area, we do have a secondary entrance back here for the ED, which is required and all that for the ambulances. We have emergency, we kind of just threw pharmacy in there. We have acute and inpatient are kind of the same thing, we thought. So just having that ED and that acute inpatient close so they can share some nurses and nursing station. And then procedure, I think, is probably fitting in there somehow too, whether that's also allowing some overflow options if we need that, I think. So then if we go back to the front, when you come in, again, you see registration, but then you're also going to have our bistro. We really chose to make that visual from the front, or to try to have that as much toward the front as possible, recognizing that dietary is going to have to be right behind it. And then from there, we had a lot of talk about the nursing home, recognizing that 3 small circles is probably not at all what it's going to look like. But what we are saying is we really want to have them be able to connect to that entry if possible and be able to access that bistro. We did talk a lot about this third entry for the nursing home and really felt that however this all lays out, if that first entrance doesn't have close proximity, we may want to look at a separate entrance for the nursing home, depending how it all fits. And so we left that there, but there was a lot of discussion on, well, then are people not coming through the main entrance? Do we want them to? But it's really going to come down to how far would they have to walk, we felt. We also had a fair amount of discussion about, we made a conference education room circle, because that was something that we felt we didn't have in our circles. It's a rectangle. Trapezoid, whatever. And so at first, we had it kind of up more towards the front, but in some discussion, we kind of pulled it back here a little bit in a way of trying to allow that nursing home to get as close as we could to that entry. But also, hopefully, whatever these spaces are for education and conference, they would be able to be used by the nursing home. So trying to keep a really good proximity to the nursing home. One thing that we did talk about we chose to put it here, but one thing we talked about by pulling it here instead of up in the front, it's not as much a part of maybe that bistro or uptown area or front lobby area. But again, it all depends how this gets designed, and we don't have a clear vision for that. But the purpose would be that the conference room education is close to the nursing home, but also close to some of the business office functions potentially. We've tucked business office and administration just kind of back, figuring anybody's going to be escorted back there. It's not needing to have real front entrance. But again, everything's kind of somewhat close in the new building. It's not that we're as spread out as we are here. So those would be in there. And then we kind of have a back of the house area for materials management, where the materials come in, maintenance, environmental services, laundry up in this area, knowing that there's lots of other environmental services and maintenance areas randomly, but these would be the laundry in the large areas. And then we did choose to have a separate staff entrance that, in this scenario, we would assume most of our staff would enter through, but there was some discussion, would nursing home come into the nursing home or not? Obviously that's operational and not just with how this fits. And Charlie has multiple IT closets and the proximities needed to the whatever system that's there.
The needs of the IT.
Yeah, the needs of the IT system. Did I cover everything, team?
Mm-hmm.
Americans?
The unknown is really are for our house system, because you have to spread that out so that the houses all have nice views to the outside. You can't have 4 houses side by side, so it's going to spread this whole thing out quite a bit. And it's hard to integrate it with this big area here, because you're going to have to space it so that there's not looking right next to a wall.
And we did talk too about, not wanting to seclude them, but we also recognize that's just the logistics, and that's really kind of, the small house is your house, and so being a little bit off on your own is what we do in our houses. And we also spent some time, and we did recognize that a lot of our nursing home residents are taken to lab, and so right now there is a fair distance, but again, new facility, maybe nothing's as far as what we're used to potentially. But we also talked about maybe that's an operational thing, and we don't need to get hung up on space, and maybe that's something that we work through on an operational standpoint too. But we did recognize that a choice that we made in this scenario was that the nursing home residents are detached from the clinic and the lab and imaging. And they're probably not the biggest volumes for those areas, correct, perhaps. But that is a choice that we kind of made to try to get them close to conference rooms and bistro and uptown.
Questions for this team?
Surprising, ours is pretty similar.
In a very weird sort of way.
Except for
Start there. We have our main entry, which we hope to funnel everyone through for registration purposes. We also have an emergency room entrance and a staff-only entrance. The 4th entrance we decided needed to be more of a hospital, nursing home, I know where I'm going, I'm coming to visit my loved one entrance, okay? So with that being said, in our main entrance, we decided obviously you funnel into a public lobby. We said we like the idea of our bistro being toward the front with potentially outdoor seating, but yet we need the dietary department close by. They primarily serve nursing home more than the hospital setting, but yet they need to be kind of central to that area. We like the idea of the business office and foundation being near to that registration space, but yet near to activity, because it would probably include the foundation there. We also said that we agreed that occupational therapies and whatnot and all those therapies need to be close to the front entrance. And because of work arrangements and such, it was a conclusion that community health probably needs to fall somewhere in that mix, close to the clinic, but close to rehabs. We do feel that it is very important that lab and imaging are close to the clinic. That is a huge piece for us. As I said, for my staff to walk over to the emergency room, I'd rather walk that direction a couple extra steps than have to have all the clinic people that are not feeling the best have to walk that toward the ER or toward us. Inside the hospital setting, they're not necessarily in any particular order. I mean, inpatient, acute, they're all similar pharmacy. We just pretty much grouped them together. And then with our staff entrance, we just said that these items need to be in that area. With our staff area, we consider that the break room, the large break room. We did not rule out the fact that there could be some smaller break rooms, knowing that there's quite some distances across the building, but yeah. Yes, we also added a learning center / conference room area, kind of in an uptown concept, whether or not we'd go that route or not, but we decided that that would be in a good place with potentially not much difference or distance from the nursing home. Anything to add?
I just had one thing that I liked when you mentioned that the bistro being kind of pushed out and it could have the outdoor seating option and like even another layer of drawing people in, like Rock Rapids had the big windows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Julie mentioned that, and she wasn't even at Rock Rapids yesterday. Yeah. So
I love eating outside.
And it got utilized. I mean, we did it all the time. We would go sit at the picnic tables outside, and it was just beautiful when we have decent enough weather.
Vera and Stanford both have all of that space.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So.
Yeah, they are really similar.
Yeah, they really are.
There's just a few flip-flops, but they're
Yeah.
three main drivers for our campus and for our community are wellness, patient experience and access, and home-like living for long-term care and being able to still go downtown even if you are living in one of our small homes. So, starting with wellness, that's why it's really important for our team thought that having the therapies in the front, that wellness gym location right there, also having the dining, so it's about exercise, healthy eating, maybe some conference room classes too to do some education on healthy cooking and eating that way. So that's our wellness, and that's why, again, that's up in front. Our patient experience and access, it's about having that central registration. And again, it's the clinic, that's a lot of our patient population, and making sure that access is good for them. We talked about the emergency room on the side, not in the back, but yet the access is on the side, but we want to have that more of that healthy wellness campus in the front as our vision there. As far as experience as well for the nursing home, we attached them more closer to that bistro area too, so that our visitors could still understand that concept of our campus, that it's that wellness concept. They can have access to go downtown. We think uptown is not the right word for Freeman because we talked about downtown. They can still be living there, but then go downtown to visit different locations as well as their family members as well. And then home-like living for long-term care. I guess I touched on that. That's why we located that there, so we can have those small homes but yet be able to go downtown. Again, we kept lab and imaging close to the clinic, but also close to the hospital, so in the middle there. What am I missing, guys?
We
Those
did
main
add an
things?
entrance, a separate staff entrance. We had 4, now we have 5.
You're counting your materials management as an
Yes.
entrance. So
Yep.
Oh,
So we have
there's a
a-
couple
okay.
lots.
So we have a,
This
Yeah.
was a possible.
That one's still kind of a maybe. It all kind of depends on how the flow.
and then maybe we'd have an interest in between those.
Yeah, we really made the choice that instead of integrating the nursing home, we want to have it be a home-like. We want to have them as close to the things that would be downtown, but yet recognizing when choices are made, we chose wellness and allowing them a home-like atmosphere.
Oh, yes, we're breaking rules, but we went with a very different concept. The more we talked about it, the more we felt that cardiac rehab and the rehabs needed to be closer to the nursing home setting, because if there was expansion growth and even nursing home, they'd still utilize rehab a fair amount. So that was our main reason for shifting this over. We still felt the need to have lab and x-ray close to the hospital side as well as the clinic side, but yet right off the main lobby. We thought that coming right in, we would do that uptown or downtown, whatever concept. But we still wanted the bistro close to the front for the sake of outdoor eating and, people grabbing something as they leave the building potentially. With regard to entrances, we still felt it necessary to have an entrance for the nursing home. With regard to what Scott said with other places, just having one for rehab, having one on the side of the building might be able to utilize rehab to enter over there over time. In the back of the building, we'd still have an emergency room entrance off to the side. We still did not want to see that in the front. With signage and such, there's definitely ways to make that known that it's on the side of the building. In the back, we kept an entrance. Anything else?
Where's your registration?
Right in amongst business office registration. Business office actual space is over here, but it's part of the uptown concept as you go toward the clinic in the main public lobby, essentially.
Actually, business office will be over here, right?
Well, but we said that the staff themselves would be back here.
Okay.